afternoon and welcome to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. You got to put the golf talk at the end because, well, the bots find what's in my drawers kind of offensive. And it's because old club makers, club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and that's what I do. And that's what we started with, but now it's evolved into something much, much more, and that it can't be happier for it. And again, thank you from around the world for attending. And as always, if you would, like and subscribe, and that way you get to see more of these when they become available and when I drop my other videos. All right, and as far as that goes with the other videos, tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 my time, which is Eastern time, we will be dropping a video about those. And they are P790s from TaylorMade with KBS Max and some Pure Grips, those guys. And it was a build for Larry in Iowa. And we take you through the build process. And then I made it about as entertaining as I possibly could with sharing a whole bunch of facts. So something to look at, all right? And so we did that. We trade, and we always show you about what we're going to go over, or the work that I had for the week. That was one of them. I had plenty going out, and I didn't take too much of that. However, last week we introduced the McGolf aprons, right? There's a large and then an extra large, and the difference between is about 2 inches in length and width. So if you're a smaller person, the large; if you're a bigger person, the extra large. And Aaron out west, he ended up getting some, and he sent us a picture. And there he is, wearing the McGolf apron with the McGolf on his bag. And he's, look at that. He's got a putter in his vise with the torpedo level on it and in a shaft clamp. So enjoying it the way it is. So thank you, Aaron. This thing's great. If you guys are interested in an apron for what you're looking for, email us, and Miss McGolf will send you what it costs to get it to you, and then pretty much what it costs us costs you. And we're putting it in the smallest package we possibly can. So we did with that. So that was pretty good. So let's before we get into all the other topics, we got to go over the World Golf Championships, the Workday Championships at the Concession, right? The Concession, a very tough golf course, and Colin Morikawa basically dismantled it at a minus 18, which I guess is a very extraordinarily low score. Followed him by Victor Hovland and Brooks Koepka. And Victor had a good day at shooting a minus 5, and Brooks a minus 2, where Colin shot a minus 3. Now, there's a whole bunch of names that everybody knows at the bottom throughout this whole list. It was good golfer packed, and I think we would have seen, if one of those guys stumbled, we probably would have seen another one of these guys. But it doesn't look as if there was that this was an invite, so nobody was getting disqualified. But Matthew Wolff, he withdrew shooting an even on one of the rounds, I guess. So the guy that came in 71st is Daniel Van Tonder. Shot a plus 7 to end up with a plus 15. Now, plus 7 sounds like a lot, and it is. However, Rasmus Hoggard shot a plus 10. Harris English a plus 8. Dustin Johnson a plus 6, and there was plenty of plus 6s out there throughout the thing. So it was playing quite hard, okay? And so congratulations to Colin Morikawa. All right, so as you see, I'm wearing a different hat, and that's because I wanted to talk about the inner workings of Callaway golf clubs. And why do I like doing that is because they send me blow-aparts, and typically I use them in my review. And this one's coming. We've got a review of I'll show it to you here, of an Apex Hybrid. All right, the Apex Hybrid and an Apex Pro. I just finished all the filming. I got to put it together for the video, and that will be coming out as early as late this week, or it'll be the video for next. And I like showing these things because it gives people the inner workings of it. So we'll get started. So this is the face of this guy. So it sits in here just like that, right? We pull it off, and then the AI has been busy designing the face of this, and it is also the cup face. You can see that it has the ridges all the way around, and that gives it the cup face design. Let me fix a little something here. There we go. And so this is giving you the advantage of the cup face plus the advantage of the AI face. Then you have the top of it, which is the triaxial weave compound. You can see it all right down in here, and that goes on the top. It goes like that, okay, and gives it a whole look about it. Now, the interesting part right there, there's the interesting part. It has the jailbreak in it. You see right there and right there. That's the jailbreak. However, the jailbreak in past has been rods. They've been, I think they've been saying between 6 and 9. They are titanium rods. Well, in this one, they're blades. We've been calling them ninja blades. All right, and if you can see that they have a rectangular type dimension, and they're also out here and out here. Now, the other property that they have is, if you see, they sit on this rail, so it sits a little further back than they have in the past. And because they sit back, they've had to move these guys around to certain areas to give it be able to allow it to work, right? And then this guy in the back, that guy, see right there, is a weight, and that weight sits on those pegs. See if I can get it to come out. Pure tungsten weighting, right? And it sits on those pegs that are right there. There we go. It sits on those pegs. Why is that? Well, if you had it just like it is right now, it'd be super duper light, and you would want to turn it really hard. So by placing the weight down in this area, it allows you to set the center of gravity down and back and allow you to get a lot of that ball flight that people like out of hybrids, and yet still not flip it over. So a very, very good design. Now, I did hit both the Pro and I did hit the Apex. The results were kind of, well, backwards. But they both felt pretty good, and we were able to test the recoil dart, right, and the MMT from Mitsubishi to kind of give you the idea of what's going on. Let me get this real quick. How that turned, I don't know. There it is. All right, so we move on. Now we move on to the Apex Iron. Now the Apex Iron I did a review on. Very impressive forged club, I have to say. And again, we'll start with the face. All right. Again, it has the AI in it. It doesn't look like it's too radical like you might see on the drivers, but there's still some movement of some weight down at the bottom, and then it's a little bit open in this area. Also sporting some cup face. Now, I really dig on this cup face technology because what you had in the past was that you would have the skeleton and it would go all the way around, much like you would see right there. And then the face would set in this, and you would see that rim, right? That rim that would go around it. And it just made the playing surface smaller, where this one you can pretty much get out to the edge. Now, what sets this thing apart? Well, it's in here, and it's these guys. That, and that. And they're different, and they're weights. And they're weights that set in those holes in there. And they just don't set in there naked. And these are all tungsten, by the way. They're all pieces of tungsten. And what they're surrounded by is the rubber, they have a name for it. I'm going to say urethane microsphere coverings, but they all come out like that. Now there's a piece I have here, so it sits in a covering, and it centers up, and it looks a lot like that. Okay, and this, so when you put this around that and the other three pieces, and you put them in those holes, what that does is that creates that. Let me pull this out too. And it all goes in this body. All right, and you put them down here, and that's what lowers that center of gravity yet again, so you can have that stronger loft. And so you put that face on there, and then what you do is you use this badging, all right, the stinking badging. For all of you guys understand what I'm saying about that. And it goes in there pretty much like that. And then this badge is a little bit more than a badge, because if I can show you, there, see how thick that is? So that's providing a little support on that really, really thin face. And that's what's giving it a little bit more rebound, maybe a little bit more speed. So you're getting all the benefits of a forged body with a face that has the cup face and the AI with all that tungsten weighting, and it's a very pure tungsten boiled down, and then it's covered around, and that covering gives it the softer feel as well. All right, last but not least, we're going to talk about the driver. Everybody's all about the driver. I'm here to tell you this is a really nice driver. Okay, so you now have what they call the speed frame, or I call it the H frame, just from a building technology point of view. But what you have, instead of just the 2 holes, you have now 4. And what's that doing? Well, let's get this out of there. It's setting right down in there. You see the bottom of the frame? That's sitting in there, and it's attached to there, and it's right there, attached into the top. What that does, it keeps the top and the bottom connected, so more energy can be directed this way. Okay, so you can be directed that way. And what they've done is, by having those that bar going across, instead of just being in this neck of the woods as being really, really good, now it's more across the face. And I took it out on my vacation, and I can attest to yeah, that's what's happening. Now, some other parts, you see there's a big hole there, all right? Big hole there, and it's taken up by that guy, which is some more, more triaxle, and it fits in there like that, all right? Now, what does that do? This thing is super duper light and allows all the difference between the metal that would have occupied this space versus the carbon that would have occupied this space, in order to maneuver it around in here in order to make it wherever you wanted to do. Now, this is the Epic Speed, and the Speed only has the weight here, where the other ones have the sliders. All right. Now, the last 2 pieces, again, we have the carbon fiber crown, the triaxle weave crown. And that goes right there on the top. All right, and this one gets a little bit closer. The thing about this one is that top gets a little bit closer this year than it has in the past, and that's going to be something else. Now, and then where they'll say the magic happens, but it is the SS21 face. They call it the flash face, yeah. And then this is where you can really see where the AI got busy, where you see a lot of the ridges. Where I've always said that this looks like an ear, right? Looks like an ear when they take it out, and that's what gives that forgiveness across the face, is hitting it. Obviously that's the best right there, but you can get away with it out here. So if it's the best right there, that would mean it's the best right there. If you put it into the face, meaning it's the best right there. So no more of the high center stuff. We want it right in the middle where we thought. So that's the inner workings of basically the Callaway golf clubs. So I just thought it would be interesting to let people know how they work. because the science is pretty impressive when you get into that kind of stuff. It's just really, really impressive. And you know, and if the technology works, I mean, if it was a big, basically a big turd, nobody'd like it. But unfortunately, well, fortunately for them, it's working. I've had a chance to play the driver, it works. I've had a chance to hit the irons, it works. And I just tested the hybrids, and they work. So I don't see where you can go wrong. Okay, I don't see where you can go wrong at all. All right, secondly, we just got our last bit of our shipment in from Mizuno. And Mizuno is now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but they've increased their putter line. And they now have 4, 5s, and 6s. All right, they used to have 1, 2s, and 3s, which were 2 blades. One was a plumber's neck blade, the other one was a flow neck, and then the other one was a small mallet. Okay, and this one is we'll go backwards. This one is the 6. All right, this one is the 6. And you can tell because it says 6 right there. Okay, now the thing with this is, in all the putters, they come in a silver or a blue or a black. I do not like the silver. Now, if you like a blue that looks like that, then this is your putter. But I like the black ones. It stops the sunshine from getting into your face, and it's got a more classic look at black. And they're all milled. All of them are milled. Okay, and to kind of give you an idea, there's the milling on the face. All right, this one is your typical. You know, it's their version of. They're going to hate me for this, but it's their version of the Fang. So you have a high MOI, basically all the weights right out here. You get to see the semicircle for a lineup plus the 2 lines. Not too bad. And it is a face balance club. All right. Now, the thing that goes with every last one of these is a lambkin etched grip. Looks like that. Now, if you go to a custom shop, then you can put a different grip on it as you see fit. But that doesn't stop there. What they also give you is that. This is a weight kit, and you start with 8 gram weights in it, and then you get these two on this side are 3, and these 2 on this side are 13. So this thing does not want to stay up. All right, so you got 3, 8, and 13. So if you really had to you wanted to slow down a flip, you could put the heavy weight to the toe and keep the standard weight to the back. If you needed to go the other way, you could just reverse it. If you wanted it lighter, you could put the 3-ins. If you want the heavier, you can be 13s. So you're really customizing this whole thing here. All right, so let's see what the next one is. All right, we'll go to the other one, since I said we were going to go backwards. This is the number 5. Number 5 is kind of a fat mallet, I guess, or a more elongated mallet. And you can see it has what they'll call a flow neck. I tend to call it an S neck. All right, and it has there we go. So a little wider, much bigger sight line. I like the shape of this club. And if you're a person that has a slight inside out but likes the mallet right there, just a slight toe, you would like this one for sure. And then again with the weights and the milling and the grip. Make sure it's not going to fall on me this time. And last but not least is the 4. The 4 is a wide body blade. All right, and you get to see it right there. That's number 4. And the thing that they all have in common is, in the black, is you're going to see kind of a matte finish right here and then more of a mirrored finish on the toe to the heel. That one is more like that and then more like that. And then this one also has the flow neck, but it's going to tip a little bit more. All right. So more screen dooring, more swinging as opposed to straight back and straight forward. So the 4, lots of arc. The 5, a medium amount of arc, and the 6, very little arc. there you go. Now you got it. Okay. Whew. So that got me through all this stuff. Let's see what we're going to talk about today. Go all the way to the top. Oh, by the way, over here in Ohio, it went from a foot of snow, well, that's down here maybe 6 inches, to really hot weather to yesterday over 2 inches of rain. So we were swamped. All righty. Dave, what do you say, man? What technique do you use to fit for shaft weight specifically? How do you know if shaft's too heavy or too light? All right, Dave. So shaft weights are not infinite, right? There's just so many that are out there. Now, there are more in irons than there are in drivers. Sounds kind of funny. There are more driver options, but there are more iron weights. For instance, all those that are right back there, you can go from 40 gram to 100 gram in one category with Acra. Now, how do you know which is which? Now, the easiest dead giveaway is that if they lose control, and I mean the swing looks like they get back and they lose the feel in the club, and the consistency starts shifting pretty bad, then you know you're getting too light, all right? And then if you're getting too heavy, you'll start seeing a lot of the golfer working the golf club, meaning is having to lift it. Maybe some solid hits, maybe some fat, maybe some thin, but very, very short. All of a sudden, the quality of hit will go down. And you'll see that when you hit the right weight, all of a sudden the swing just looks better. The quality of the hit goes up, and it goes up. Now, shaft weight and flex tend to follow each other, right? Because the more stuff you put on a shaft, the stiffer it's just going to become. And that's what you need to keep in mind as well, that there's a trade, right? In this fitting thing, there's always a trade. So you might be in the right flex, but you might be in the right weight. You might be in the right weight, but you might be in the wrong flex. Now, getting to the flex, you might be able to do that with a little bit of trimming, but not so much the other way around. But that's what we do. And 99 times out of 100, what I'm finding out now is, the standard golf shaft of 120, 125, even 130, unless the golfer is very, very, very strong or young, like a very, very strong high school or collegiate golfer, or even getting onto the tour, chance of hitting outside that range is very, very small based on tradition, because they're going to be very traditional. The average golfer, however, I have found really, really does well with the 110, 105 and lighter. And it's just because we don't have that time to put forth the effort for staying in that golf shape, being able to walk all that time, working on the golf swing, all that kind of stuff. So that's how we go about it. All right. Charles, how are you, sir? The shafts are already on order, and they're already on their way. We're just waiting now on the ferrules. And they will be cool, by the way. Hello at Buffalo, Mr. Mike. Have you had a gander at the new Odyssey 10 2-ball? And if so, what are your thoughts? I have seen it. I saw it when it first came out. So what he's talking about, what Mike's talking about is the Model 10 is the Spider look-alike. Let's just get it out there. It's the Spider look-alike. The fortunate part about it is the guy who designed the Spider designed the 10 too. So I don't know if that's kind of cheating or not, but they're using it. In the first generation of the 10, they had holes in the top where you could see right through to the ground. I thought it was fine. It didn't bother me too much because it had this monster sightline. Now what they've done is they've filled all that in. It has this solid body look, and they've put the 2-ball pattern right on top of it. And they've put the 2-ball pattern with a line on top of it. So you have your both of it, and then you can get a 2-ball with a shaft that goes straight in for face balance, and a 2-ball with a S neck, which gives you toe hang. And it still has the O-Works face in it. It doesn't have the hot face. The OG has the regular hot face, okay? And so that's where we're at. Now, what is it? What are my opinions on it? I think it looks cool, okay? I am a mallet putter guy, but I like putters as long as they work. There are so many different model varieties. You can have one without a line, purely blacked out. You have one with a line, with a great big white line if you want. You can have it with the 2-balls and all those different factions. You can just, there's so much that you can put on top of this to help you align for your putt. It's just crazy. Now, put that with the Stroke Lab shaft, which is now a silver, a gray on silver, and it has a really cool look. But they didn't leave the large grip or the pistol grip that they've offered in the past, just different color marks. So yeah, I like it. The big thing is making sure that the lie angle is right and your length is right, so you can see the not only what's on top of the putter, but the line that you're going towards, right? Okay. Mr. Willard, how are you, sir? Yes, it is. It is getting close, and I'm looking out. I had to switch to the light because normally we've been, the winter time, it's been dark out there, and there's lots of sun. So I've had to turn it sideways. Jack from Lombard, how you doing, buddy? We are busy, man. I tell you what, taking that week's worth of vacation, I enjoyed the vacation. It was fun. I had a bunch of laughs and played a lot of golf, and ate a lot of food. But coming back, we have been just full on. So there you go. Got the first dose. All right. Well, I'm glad you're seeing it. We're on the list ourselves. Hopefully it's coming out. And for all of you that are following this COVID stuff, you know that Johnson & Johnson just got approved, and they've made their first shipment today, I believe. And that's a one-shotter. So we'll see how that one works out. I imagine most folks will see. We'll see. There'll be a kind of a contest, I'm sure. There you go, Dave from Michigan. How are you, bud? Dave again. How do you determine the correct length of fairway woods? Do you calculate with wrist to floor from the longest iron or from driver length? I typically go from driver length, and I go. I try to make it from there. So if 45 and a half. But I don't go crazy, okay? You see a lot of 43.5 inches. Trying not to kick something here. 43.5 inches, and I think that's just too long. I like starting at 43, and then I'll make my determination from there. No rounds, but the weather allowed some sort of short game practice. Good deal, sir. Can you describe your thoughts on the difference, bounces, and lofts of wedges, and how do you choose? Ooh, good one. Matt, always giving the good questions. All right, so let's take loft right out of the equation right away. Loft, how irons have gotten stronger, but yet the 56 sand wedge has always been 56, and it's give or take. It might be 55 to 57, but as a whole, 55 to 56. So that would be your typical sand wedge loft. Now, the other thing is you have to work on gaps, right? You have to work on a gap. So a gap from your pitching wedge, your A wedge, sand wedge, lob wedge, all need to be gapped. And typically, as your swing speed gets lower, the gap needs to be wider. So just keep that in mind. Bounces. And I am going to sound like a commercial for every wedge person, but bounce is your friend. All right. If you're in fluffy, thick, or you're a digger, bounce is your friend. If you are in hard pan, or the sand is like bouncing off cement, or you're a sweeper, a non-divot taker, then lower bounce can be your friend. And I'll throw one more in there, Matt. The other one is sole grinds. There are sole grinds available.
The question on the bounce, please.
And that would be?
Can you change? I know
only without changing the loft. Hey, we got one from Mrs. McGolf and included with this.
Somebody sent
From the,
from us.
oh, okay, we're getting a question. So that we're going to keep adding into this one. So the soul grind's all about turf interaction and the way that you play the game. If you're a person that likes to open the wedge quite a bit, then maybe what we would call a simple tour grind, which is a heel relief with a little bit of toe relief. If you're a Phil Mickelson type that just wants to hit them straight up in the air, then you're going to have more of the same, and it's going to sound weird, but a trailing lead, trail bounce on that. Then there are some that don't, your standard one where you can open it ever so slightly but not fold it open. And there, you've heard of M grinds, N grinds, D grinds, S grinds, G grinds. I mean, everyone's just, all it is a little bit different version of the same. How much you would open, the types of environments that you play in. If you're very, very hilly, if up here in the mountains up here, it's hilly golf courses, lots of moguls and stuff. Having a wedge with a little bit of toe grind on it is not a bad thing, because when the ball's below your feet, it helps you get through and not get stuck or caught or open or anything like that. Now, finally, Mr. McGolf came in here and had a bounce question about, can I change the bounce of a golf club? And the answer is yes, I can, but it's without taking it to a grinder. It's at the cost of loft. All right. So for every degree of loft that you increase the bounce. And the vice versa. So you take it away and it becomes more of a digger. So just keep that in mind. All right, so hopefully that worked out. Whew. All right, how much heavier should a shaft be in your irons and your gap wedge? Jack, another good question. We're going to be wedging it today. So what you get is I tend to like to go just a little bit heavier. For instance, if I have a 90-gram shaft that's going through the irons, maybe a 100, 105. 105 tends to be a typical number. I like going heavier, but not what I call a sledgehammer heavier, in order so the person still has that type of control. Because again, guys and gals, wedges are finesse clubs. All right. Sand wedge, the pitching wedge and a wedge are typically going to be can be full and finesse shots. When you get into what would be a typical wedge, like a sand wedge or lob wedge, those are finesse shots, and rarely should they be full swing. And that's just basically a control thing, and so that's what we're looking at. All right. Now the gap wedge, Jack, is again, for an average golfer, I would say it's part of the set, so I would keep it as part of the set. Now, a stronger golfer might go into a regular wedge version of it. And again, I like gap wedges to be part of the set, because in a lot of cases, that gap wedge is much more forgiving than a standard wedge, which is just like a big, filthy blade, right? And so why not take advantage of all the attributes of a forgiving iron instead of a wedge? Now, strong in some sets, like Wilson, Mizuno, some Srixon, they don't offer gap wedges. And so you have to go that direction, and you're just kind of stuck with that. And in that case, I would still put in the same shaft from the iron set in order for you to get the best advantage from your swing. All right, Dave wants to know, what am I currently gaming a golf ball? I am using the new Chrome Soft from Callaway. And I got it I've been using the soccer ball forever, and last year I converted over to the 3 lines. And I think it's funny because I don't use the 3 lines other than I just started using the 3 lines putting maybe 2 rounds ago. I have all the time to think about it. I've never really thought much about doing it. And it's kind of funny. It really does work. So there's me being a bonehead. But I will use those. There's other ones out there. I'm going to give a run with the Wilson Staff Professionals. I did get a chance to hit those. A very nice golf ball. Probably not quite as long as the Callaway model, but it has a significantly good feel. Cameron, getting fitted for irons in 2 weeks. Can't wait. Good job, dude. Good job. What do you say, Scott? Checking in from Michigan. Jerry, warming up, so we'll get back. Thinking about cutting a ½ inch off my driver butt end. What will that do to stiffness and swing weight? It won't do a thing to your stiffness. I mean, technically there is a change, but not enough for a ½ inch to even really matter. Swing weight, it will go lighter by about 3 swing weight points. All right, Peter, what we got here? Hello, back from Myrtle Beach. Yes, Myrtle Beach. Played 5 rounds and back to Syracuse. How about that for a change in pace of action, right? Going from Myrtle Beach in the sand to, well, snow. We did it. It wasn't fun. Oh, Al's in the Space Coast. He's back there. Danny, what do you say, man? Warming up here. Got 9 holes in Sunday. Going out tomorrow to work on my short game. Well done, guys. You know, I'm glad you guys are saying this stuff because, you know, the old adage, the short game is the first thing to leave and the last thing to show up. If you can get your short game in line, you can really, really, really impact your score, you know, not only in the beginning of the season, but going forward because you just keep getting better, right? I think that's an excellent idea. I think it's an excellent idea to get started in doing the short game.
What are you pointing at?
Nothing. I did not. Did not. Peanut gallery again. My specs will be 1 inch short, 1 to 2 degrees upright. Tired of buying off the rack clubs, wasting my money. You are correct, sir. And when you do 1 inch short, you want to. The other part is if it's truly 1 inch short, Cameron. The other part is that your spacing between the irons per se. Don't go with a ½ inch. Just go with 3/8. I'm telling you, you will like it. Robert Long got fit today with Club Champion location. Well done, buddy. And they suggested the Drago. Woohoo! You the man. Any cheaper suggestions in a similar spec? Well, Robert, the Drago's not to be trifled with, is it? Well, the Drago, I'm trying to think. If you look right, if I can get it right, right there. I've got the VA Nemesis and I've got the Slay. I never brought in the Drago. So the Drago is the stiffer variety. It's for the guy that really comes down hard or releases hard, right? So you can come away with a few other ones. I would think that Acura has one that's in their FX line that's a little bit more reasonable. That is, and they come in color. They come in a blue for high launch, red for mid launch, and yellow for low launch. And I use that as, you know, light, smooth swinging, average swinging, aggressive swinger, and that the yellow is in that. Now it's not an all yellow shaft. It's very cool looking. It's got like a digital kind of flavor to it, and there's yellow highlights in it. That's one. I would say the KBS TD, but it's no cheaper. And you might look at the new one. And I don't know what the cost is, but the Project X Hazardous. Well, you could go with the smoke shaft, the smoke blue, or I'm sorry, the smoke black, or even the smoke green. I would try some of those. All right. Steve, what do you think? I like it. It's a good fit, man. A little Apex on one side, got the Chrome Soft happening, the Epic, and then on the back there's an Odyssey logo. So they got you coming and going in this hat, and I've got a black one too, and it's a good fit. It's smooth. I really like it. It's a comfortable feel. Next Sunday, sounds like we're all getting ready to get out there, aren't we? Here we go from Sweden. No snow. Hey, played my first round of golf on the clay course. Could test my irons. Yeah. I want to see, so how did you like the 921s? I want to see somebody else's response to the 921 tours. You know, I've got them in my bag, which I'm not the quality player you are, but they tend to work for me for some reason. I don't know what that's all about. There's Bob saying hi to Robin. That's the Bob and Jim show. Bobby, what do you say? What is the procedure order of McGolf apron? You email Robin, and she'll take care of you, no problem. Which launch monitor do you think is best for fitting and coaching? GC Quad or TrackMan? Well, you got me outside my lane because I use Flight Scope. I think that GC Quad does well for YouTube guys because their display is very much oriented towards entertainment. And not only that, but they have games that interest kids, i.e. they have a carnival package where you can get kids to do chipping, and it's like throwing darts at the old balloons during the carnivals, plus a zombie killing game. I mean, some real entertainment going on there. They tell you about where you hit it. And indoors, I mean, it gives you numbers, and when it gives you numbers, people tend to jive on them. I cannot attest to any of the accuracy on any of it because I've never used one. Well, that's a lie. I used one once for about 30 minutes, but I never really got into the hard and fast of it. Okay, now TrackMan is basically the gold standard, right, for radar units. And if you're outside, there's probably hands down between that one and the Flight Scope, there's no better way to go. It's particular, and for both, because it talks about the important stuff where face angles and launch aspects and spin rates and club head paths and club angles and the whole 9 yards, which is a lot that has to do with coaching and teaching. And that information is what I rely on giving my recommendations on for fitting. Now, the con to both of these is that when you get indoors and you have fluorescent lights, that the fluorescent lighting tends to interrupt the radar, and sometimes you don't get the right number. Now, there are things you can do. One is you can change out the fluorescent lighting and go to a different lighting aspect, and bam, you're done. In some cases, what I've done is I've put a screen door mesh on top of it to disrupt the fluorescents that are coming off of there, and it seems to work pretty good. And so you can go from there, and that's what I would look at. Mr. Long, thank you so very much, buddy, for that. I appreciate that. All right, Guitar Monkey. I have a 30P Ping G30s that were fitted, thinking of switching the shafts to graphite to be more forgiving on the joints, and you'd be correct. Shafts currently are Ping CFX X Flex, a 1/2 inch. What are a few options? Well, if you're going to shift them out, it depends on who's doing it, right? There is a plethora of shafts to choose from. The G30 is very much probably going to be a taper tip type shaft, but you could also rim them out to accept anything you want. But there is all kinds of shafts that are out there. If you're looking for an X Flex shaft that is going to play well, then you also have the KBS has one that'll work. Acra has one that will work. Even VA Composites has an iron shaft, although it may not be much of a play. Well, it probably is. It's the one in the middle. So they'll have one. Everybody has a graphite shafted iron. I would stay with the major ones like the True Temper, True Sports, KBS. Nippon has one, but they're not known for their graphite, and I haven't really had a chance, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend them just yet. and Acura. I'm all over. I'm in deep with those guys. And well, I'm trying to think of what I've had here in the shop. And the True Temper stuff. And you could go with that, and you wouldn't have a problem at all. All right, there's Aaron, the first guy with the apron. Woohoo! Sonny V, how's it going, sir? How is it up north? Pooey! Just a month to wait now. The UK start golfing. Finished putting on the slider. My slider 3-iron and Project X Graphite shaft. Feels great. Need to properly test, of course. Absolutely. Yes, you do. Yeah. There. He saw it. He heard. Well done, sir. Thank you. Charles, did you use that driver in your trip to Florida? Yes, I did. It's the Epic Max LS, and I have the Acura Tour Z, and it has the red, white, and blue paint job on it. And it was number 4 in a line of 100. I swore up and down I'd never use it, and it was the only one I had left, so I had to. And it's working. It's working really, really well. I'm real happy with it. All right. I noticed the bars are closer together on the driver compared to the hybrids. And you would be correct, sir. They are. And it's because of where they're... Let me get out the driver. You notice how I said that the bars were a little bit set further back? They're a little closer. If we use that, they're a lot closer in the face on the driver. And so you can be a little more symmetrical. And the fact that the head is a little more elongated, so in order they found out that was basically the best placement for those. And based on after my hitting with them, I'd have to agree. I'm looking to build a driver shaft for my Epic Flash. I see that some manufacturers talk about trim codes. What is that all about? And what epoxy brand do you think's opinion? Thank you for your time. So the trim codes that they're talking about are sometimes that people will use driver shafts in fairway woods, and you know there's 3, 5, 7 in that. And they will do that trim code in order to fit into that. In some cases, they will tell you a trim code is if you want it to play a little bit more stiff than advertised, how much to trim for how much flex. Although I sound kind of, I hate sounding all stuck up or whatever when I say this. I stopped using trim codes a long time ago. On the average, the trim codes came out to be a half-inch change for whatever it is that you need. If you wanted something less, you trimmed less. And I have the equipment to check it, so I just stopped using it. Now, if you don't have the equipment to check it, then going by the trim codes is by all means, I would suggest it wholeheartedly. All right, that's just because I have the gear, I've been able to change the way I look at it. And the epoxy, you know, for getting started and not having to hurry up and having some working time, the stuff that GolfWorks sells in the 24-hour epoxy would be your best bet. It's very, very strong. You make sure you mix it up very, very well, and you're good to go. And you're just going to have to wait 24 hours. All right. I could not get forgiveness from hitting off a tee with a frying pan. All right, golf swings. In your opinion, is there a best iron sole design out there? A universal sole that suits all swing types? No. Can you talk about the type of soles which suit swings? Sure. So, if you've noticed here as of late, the players, and I mean like let's talk JP 921 tours. That's probably the last one where you see that the soles are very, very thin, very much like you're used to seeing with what you would assume that a good player would use, right? Butter knife tops and very thin bottoms because they're clipping the grass, or they take a given a very precise amount of dirt, and that it's because they can play to that level. Now, there are some that are slightly wider, and I like lots of rounding, okay? I like lots of radius. I like, although you won't be able to see it on here, maybe I can make it happen. All right, so this is what I would call right down the middle, and this is, you know, if you look, it has a curvature on the back. And so it's wider right about here and thinner in the back. That's a smart play in my book because you don't want to get the heel cut or caught. And it's maybe an inch wide, maybe. And I think that's a good number. Now, golf swings, what I would really, really look at is maybe not necessarily the sole as a whole, but maybe the leading edge is an important thing. Each manufacturer has their own way of putting stuff together. You know, we've heard the idea of a knife edge, and that they talk about the leading edge, where the leading edge, again we use this, where the leading edge right here is very, very sharp. And if you're a digger, you're going to take a Jasper Parnevik type divot, the size of Rhode Island. I mean, it's just going to come that way because that's what that thing is designed to do. So what did they started doing? They started radiusing this leading edge right here. You see how it's over? You can see it right there, how smooth that radiused edge is. Okay. Now the other part is the radius here. Some will have more circle, some will be more flat. Honestly, what you'll see is the ones that are wider for guys that tend to get into the turf a little more, thumpers, so to speak. The wider one tends to skip them out. Now, doesn't have to be super wide, but I think two companies that I know for certain have done pretty good with it, with radius soles, is Wilson and Mizuno. They believe in a lot of curvature, albeit either normal or wide. They do a very good job with that. Srixon takes another look at it where they do the V sole. So you have a leading edge that may have a minimum type of bounce, and then the trailing edge has a lot, and that has a use for a lot of different people as well. All right. There's this sis. They have a foot of snow on the ground. Well, when you live up in the Great White North, kid. All right. KJ, thank you, buddy. Oh, I don't know what he's hooping, but okay. Maybe my thing's from. All right, here you go, Aaron. Just for you, buddy. Let's see. There you are. Oh, I figured you might like that. All right, let's go back up to the top here again. All right. Greg McIntosh. We are, sir, and the same to you. Hopefully everything is working out. Aaron, do any of those new putters from Mizuno have a center shaft option? Seems hard to find. Aaron, you would be absolutely positively correct. Center shafted putters are they're just not coming out like they used to. And to find anything left-handed in center shafted is even harder still, at least not in the mainstream. We've been looking because I have to get one out for a customer, and I thought that Odyssey still had one, and they have one that's close, more like in their Tuttle or their Rosie, but you would think that they would make one just specifically to the center. So Mizuno doesn't have one. Odyssey doesn't have one. Peretti used to have one, but to find it left-handed would be a bit of a stretch. The only thing, now I'm thinking Bettinardi might have one, but I wouldn't bet on it either. So, you know, finding them is gonna be pretty tough. My next chance might be the SIK putters, the SIK putters, but get ready because they are not inexpensive. There's Joe. How are you doing, sir? Ah, you're right. Seymour does do that. That's right. That's a good call. I have the 2-ball triple track on order. Looking forward to it. By the way, welcome to Team Callaway. Yeah, thanks. I've been on staff for 2 years now, and it's there. No, I have not, Joe. And I was thinking about calling them today, and I just got too busy to make the phone call. But I just cannot wait. Uh, I am down for this new net. You got me thinking about how I can set things up now.
4 years.
Oh, 4 years, sorry. Beautiful weather in San Jose. I'm not digging that. I'm not digging that, James. Everybody else is just going, "Oh my God, really?" Well, how'd the knee? Is it the knee? It was the knee, right? Yeah. How'd the knee turn out? I'd like to hear how the therapy. Pretty sure it was the knee, and how you're. Trust the knee, James. Trust the knee. Okay. When my hot metal pros come in, what is the loft of the gap wedge? I got a 56 and 60 like you recommended. And do I need to worry about a big loft? No, I believe it's either 50 and the pros, hot metal pros, it's probably closer to a 50. And honestly, if we bend it to 51, you should be fine. Camilio, sir, how are you? Hello, guys. No rounds for me. Try something different in my training called Tour Tempo. What do you think about it? Tour Tempo. I've heard of that, I believe, where they try and get you swinging in the not necessarily like somebody, but in the ratio of the way they turn, that 2 to 1 or 1.8 to 1, that kind of thing. If it's not, if it's your swing to get that, I think it's a good idea as long as you're very comfortable with it when you're all said and done. Apex Pro durability. The Apex Pro iron or the Apex Pro? Well, in either case, I would think that they would be just fine. I've not heard anybody from past Apexes complain about them. Now, the only thing I've heard, in the day, Miguel, that they offered the Apexes in a smoke color, basically a darker color, and that is a coating that's going to wear. It just is, and when it wears, it's gonna show because it's radically different. You go from a dark covering to the silver that's underneath of it. But outside of that, I've not heard a single problem. And if you've gotten a new one, and if you've bought the Callaway, let's put it this way, Callaway's customer service is pretty good. And if you've bought one and something's happened, I would certainly give them a call, and they should be able to work it out for you. Pedro, when a customer comes in with their standard length driver and is asked to be trimmed down to 44 from I'm okay with that, dude. I am totally okay with that. Now, the other thing, we have to warn them that it's going to feel light initially, and if they have, you're right on the and even with the OEMs, you're on the ragged edge of them adding weight. Sometimes they will, sometimes they will not. If you have the capability of finding the weights that would go into it, I would add a little bit. I wouldn't go crazy with it. If you had a 5-grammer in there, I might go with an 8-gram, maybe 10, maybe, and go from there because the feel is going to be there. Steven, sir, how are you? We are trying, man. We are trying. We've got those things ordered, and I got to say thank you because it opened the door for us to deal with them more directly. So that was a plus. But thank you. And we are waiting on them. The minute that those doggone ferrules show up, the build is on. All right, the build is on. Alvin, sir, how are you, buddy? Alvin deals with Graphite Design. He is the man. We go way back to when he was a pure grip guy, but he's now dealing with the GD guys, and I should have you on. We ought to do this one day, buddy. Mr. Robert, thank you so much for the donation. We appreciate it. Come on back anytime. Spanner, Ernie Ills is using the coat to high grip, and I did get it finally. Yay. Great. Well, good. Spanner, I'm glad to see it. I didn't know he was using it. I know that I guarantee you that Bob of the Bob and Jim Show is volunteered to be the poster child. The poster child of it. He is just making everything he looks at. Everything. It just gets down there, and I'll say, when he misses, I said, "Were you aiming that 1 inch to the right?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I was. It went exactly where I wanted to go. It just didn't break." Can you imagine how good that's got to feel to know that you're going to do that? That's just phenomenal. There you go, Steve. I'm on board with you. I got mine. I need to have mine tuned up, though. I need the new dongle. I need that 5 gigahertz dongle so I can use all their other apps. Joe, do you think the Voice County launch monitor is worth it? Well, Joe, I'm gonna stay with my allegiance to FlightScope. They have the Mevo and the Mevo Plus. And the Mevo Plus is a significant jump, but the Mevo, if you're looking just to get a few numbers off of it, in my opinion, is a much better unit. It's not to say that this Voice Caddy isn't good. I just think the Mevo is better. All right, and you're talking about the Mevo is about as big as a credit card, but about 1.5 inches wide. It goes in the bag. You can take it anywhere with you. Now the Mevo Plus is a little bit bigger, right? It's like 2 or 3 credit cards, and then just as wide. But the stuff that it does is just amazing. All right, and I would look into the Mevo first. It's a couple $100, but if you're really wanting more, because I've seen the Mevo Plus used as the source for your simulator, but I would look at the other one. But if you're looking for club head speed and getting the ball out and that kind of thing, that's fine because. Although they're saying, "Oh, you hit it this far," I would imagine it's more calculated, where on the Mevo you're going to see it. You weakened the tours. I can't believe you weakened the tours, Krister. That is amazing. I bet you hit the ball high. Well, no, you come down steep. That's why. Okay. Yeah, I like them too. I strengthen mine by a degree to a degree and a half, and they hit as good as anything. He has the orange and the silver in color, same as the orange and the black. If it came in the TM as part of it and nobody made any bones about it, I would imagine it's a tailor-made special. Tips for getting leftover grip tape out of a pulled grip. Oh, well, I do have one as a matter of fact. So what you can do is, and you have to do it directly after, or you put the grip solvent back in it, shake it up to get it loosened again, and then you take I take about a 3/4 inch, about a 3/4 inch pipe brush, and stick it in there as far as you can, push the grip up into it, and then just start turning it out, and you'd be surprised what you pull out. It just, but a really big pipe brush. Recently used some basic trigonometry to calculate the vertical height of a grip as a product of length of club times the sine of the angle line. I expected this number to be constant across. I'll have to see what the rest of that is. Sounds like you're on your way, buddy. Better late than never, bud. Better late than never. Oh, on an iron set, I found that this height for some ping standard specs was 2 inches higher. Recently, basic trig, vertical height of the grip as a product of the length of the club times the sine. In an iron set, I found that the height for the ping. I get where you're going, Eric. You're using the triangular measurement from across and up, so you got to make sure you got the right angle right, and then you're getting this part, and then you're using the sine, cosine, tangent kind of thing going on. But you have to. The thing that changes, it might change on each one of these things if you're measuring them in the playing position, that the angle changes, and that might change the so you have to know what the angles are. You have to know what the angle of the bottom of the iron is, because it's not going to be exactly straight, right? Because the bottom of that might be 60, 59, 58, and so on, and the other side's got to give it up, and that might change your thing. How about me talking math like way in the evening and with some of this? Well done, Eric. Good question, though. That was my nukeisms coming back. Whew. All right. Al, give me some questions on the G410s. I don't know, Al. G410s. I think I did. I think I even answered it. We'll get Robin to look at it, and we'll see what's going on from there. All right. Here we go. John Clisby from Australia. John, thank you for joining us. I know it's, early in the morning for you over there. If you got a question, just let us know. Well, Lorinda's here somewhere. I haven't seen her. Golfer guy, Seymour Pinner. Yep, a lot of guys like it. I'm not a fan of the look, but it does work. For players' irons, do you feel there's much advantage in tech as opposed to drivers? For example, the Adams CMBs from 2011 versus something like the Wilson Staff CBs. Nick, a heck of a good question, dude. There is... So if you're talking just basically forged clubs, and there's a lot of tech in that? Well, not as much as like there would be in a multiple piece club, right? And that's going to be the real trick of it, is where you can get it from a full on just one piece forged and making it work. And it's more about placement, right? It's more about weight placement. And then what we talk about is, does it fit what you need? Right? Because the Adams CMBs were a little smaller and a little more compact with a little bit more sole, where the Wilson Staffs are a little bit longer, a little bit thinner top line, and the sole a little bit more radius because of its narrowness. So if you're more of a, not much of a divot taker or a very good ball striker, I would think you would probably get a little bit more out of the Wilson Staff CBs. That, and even from 2011, you probably see a loft angle change of maybe a degree or two, which can make a difference. I can't believe Robin hasn't come in here and told me that I'm beyond my stuff, but okay. Between the 7 and the 21, which should be more forgiving? I can tell you by looking at it, the 7. The 7's a little bit bigger. Okay, it's a little bit bigger. The cavities are just about the same amount deep. The 421 has a different, And it depends on how you get into it. But from just from what I think makes things more forgiving, so blade length, height, and a little bit of the depth, the 7 comes out on top just ever so slightly. But as far as, and you can't argue with the way that Mizuno is put together. The Forge club is pretty good, right? But the 7 is pretty good too. Now the 7's a little shinier, so that might be a little something where the 921 is easier to look at address. All right, a couple more guys, and then we got to go. Grips, 5.8 or 600, how do you know which to use? All right, Greg, so what grips come out in will be 580 men's, 580 ladies, or 580 rounds or 580 ribs. And that means that if you put that 580 on a 580 butt club, yeah, look who's behind over there. And if you put that on a 580 shaft, that you will get the standard, or whatever whatever that grip says it's going to be, whether it's standard or mid-size or whatever, you are going to get that shaft. You're going to get that size. Now, if you put that 580 on a 600 butt, it's going to be just slightly bigger, like a half size maybe. And if the same goes just the backwards, the same thing with let's start. If you put a 600, you get the same thing. If you put a 600 and a 580, it gets a little bit smaller. Same thing. All right, here we go. Jim Robin, hope you're well. Hi from sunny, RNC. I have a combo set 4 through 8, 588. Altitude Cleveland Action Light Graphite shafts and a Wilson FG Tour. Holy cow, buddy. That you are not kidding when you're saying about a thing. Thought of fitting Action Light into the F5. The feel or the way that you swing them should smooth out dramatically. I could see you doing that. Good luck on finding the Cleveland Action Light 55s though. I don't know. I'm not real because the 588s are still kind of recent. You might be able to find them. But to go to something comparable, at least it would swing comparable as a going from, oh my God, they're so heavy. And you'd probably be able to get through it. You might hit them even just a little bit higher. And then you might have to look at the Cleveland clubs might be parallel, even if they're 588s. But you can always shim that up. So go with the tapers. All right, Greg, looking at getting a set of game improvement irons. I'm in my 60s, still playing golf off single digits. Dude, you are the man. Hot Metal is still the go-to club. They have the Hot Metal, and if you're playing off single digits, the Hot Metal Pro is probably where you want to be. Hot Metal Pro, and then even check out the Forged. The Hot Metal Pro has less offset than the Hot Metal does at the same loft angles. So you get all the benefits of the loft with more of the player stuff in the Pro, and I would go with them completely. All righty, one more, guys, and then we are done. Oh, Dognut, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, here we go. Playing X100 in irons, would having a regular shaft in a hybrid cause it to go right? Maybe. There's a real, like everything else in golf, it depends. If you're an aggressive player and you're playing X100s as a whole, so we're talking about X-Flex and going to regular, and if you truly are aggressive, and this is a right-handed golfer and he's hitting the fade, that yes, you're right at that ragged edge because, again, hybrid shafts tend to play softer in hybrids than like an iron shaft. So you might even be into the A-Flex, and in that case, for certain. All right, but yeah, I would certainly look at beefing that up. All right. All righty, let's see. Here's Eric. He's answering me something back. I was doing math. Yeah, I was doing math per club, so the length of particular club respect. Yeah. Dude, that's okay. Wake me up. I was like, it's good saying that's it. So, Are you saying that if you turn out the lights, you'd glow in the dark? Well, in my past life, Charles, as you know, there's a real opportunity for that to happen. All right. All righty. All right, last one, guys. Well, all right. That's right. You're after frame 57. So what Charles is saying is on a submarine. Uh, After frame 57 was the very beginning of where the nuclear engine room would start. And since I was a nuclear machinist mate, so we always used to say, particularly on the older boats, you're after frame 57. Everybody in front of that was called a coner. Oh, here, let's end it on a light note. Favorite golf movie? Tin Cup. Tin Cup is a good one. I'd have to think about that. Now, in my office upstairs, I have 3 posters from golf movies, right? One is The Greatest Game Ever Played. One is Caddyshack. And the other one is the one with, what was the one? It's the one that's got the guy that's on the Bourne Supremacy. I just put it up. I've had it in a holder forever. From a funny point of view, obviously, I gotta like Caddyshack. As far as the other one, The Greatest Game Ever Played with Francis Ouimet, I like that one.
Wallace,
Wallace?
is that the Tom guy?
No. Okay, guys, that's it. We went way over as we've always done before. As always, please like and subscribe. Watch for the video tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'll be talking about building a club. If you're interested in anything in the way of one of these guys, talk to Mrs. McGolf. She will hook you up directly. McGolf Shop at roadrunner.com, and we will take care of you. And as always, let's see your scores below.